Hello, everybody. So I'm coming here to you from my room in quarantine. Unfortunately, I have become a statistic in that I was tested positive yesterday for the coronavirus. I had symptoms on Sunday last week with a sore throat and a dry mouth. Woke on Monday with the same symptoms. Contacted my doctor, who emailed me forms and said because of my positive travel history and because I had symptoms, I needed to go for testing and I needed to self-quarantine until I got the results. I listened to her, got testing, came back home, stayed at home, informed the people that I stay with that this is what was happening. I was self-quarantining. They continued to work as they were symptom-free, and I stayed at home, waiting for my results, which were supposed to take 48 to 72 hours, and it ended up taking 6 days. I only got my results on Saturday. I went for testing on Monday. They received at the lab on Tuesday, and the results only came through yesterday. So the scary thing is that the stats that are being shown today are actually 5 days slow. So they're not up-to-date stats. And in that week of self-quarantining, I felt that I was being overreactive. I felt like I didn't really understand why it was such a big pandemic. But as my civic duty, I did the right thing. I listened to my doctor. I stayed at home. I didn't interact with any new people. I went for a swim in the sea on my own once or twice, and with people that I knew I'd already seen, but I didn't touch them. I didn't make contact. I went, I swam, I left. I've done home gym. I've kept myself busy, and I've tried to embrace the solitude. And it's been tough. It's not easy to be waiting, pending something when you think it's not that serious and you feel okay. And your mind goes through swings where you think, oh, everyone's overreacting. I'm feeling fine. It's okay to, if I'm positive, the amount of people that are possibly infected is really high, because if it's based on my travel history, I got the symptoms 13 days after I returned from England, which is very possible and probable that I picked up the virus in England, and in those 2 weeks was working, seeing patients, and have now had to inform everyone I can think of that I've had contact with that I've been tested positive. So my advice to you is, number one, don't panic. But number two, I think that in this time, we really need to actually take this pandemic serious. It is a serious thing. It has been declared a disaster zone in South Africa. It's been declared as a pandemic by the World Health Organization, and there's a reason for that. Whether we feel that it's overreactive and that we feel okay and I just have a sore throat, or I just have a little cough, or I just have a mild fever, or whatever your symptoms may or may not be, my advice to everybody, whether you've been in contact with a positive person, whether you've had a positive travel history, is to self-isolate. Only go out if you absolutely have to. Schools have been shut down. Most businesses have been told to work from home. At all possible times in this, get your domestic workers not to come to your place of work. Let them stay at home with their families. Keep to yourself and your family and the people that you've only been in contact with. Don't meet new people. Don't go into public spaces in crowds. And I really think that it's our civic duty and our responsibility to try and flatten this curve, because the stats of 240 in South Africa is probably way higher than that in reality, considering that they have got a backlog. A lot of people are going for testing. I've been inundated since my positive test, and I've informed people with questions and what must they do. There's 1,500 people waiting who have been tested and it's waiting to be processed. So they don't have the capacity to deal with people who think they might want to go for testing even if they don't have symptoms. The advice that I've been given is that if you have a positive travel history and you've been in contact with a positive person and you have a symptom, so either you have a positive travel history and you are in touch and you have a symptom, or if you have been in touch or contact with a person who've been tested positive, such as myself, and you have symptoms. So you need to have those two things before you go for testing. For testing, contact your GP. They will then do a telephonic consult, send you the forms via email. Then you go to a specific lab, be tested, and you go straight home and you quarantine yourself and your family. If you don't have symptoms, my advice to you is self-quarantine, but don't go and inundate the system. They are running out of test kits. It is not a point to panic. This is a time where we are being given the opportunity as the world and as humanity to stop, reassess our behavior, regroup, slow down, embrace the small things. It's giving us, as a positive side, it's as serious as this epidemic is or pandemic is, it's giving us the time to slow down, reassess, and regroup, so that together we can fight this, and I believe we will. We don't know how long it's going to take or what it's going to look like, but together we can fight this, and together we're going to come back stronger as a nation and as a world, and it's going to look different going forward, and none of us know what that looks like, but it's important not to panic. Do not have fear, because this is not something to be feared. We can control it if we all do our civic duty, self-isolate, and try and see the positives in it. Try and see the fact that it's giving nature time to be restored. It's giving us a chance to seriously look at our behavior, and look and see, are we living deeply and treading lightly? As a Christian, I believe that God is bigger than all of this, and so for him, all glory is given to whatever happens in this situation. But my advice to you is stay at home, stay with your family, enjoy the time, get creative, do the DIY things that you need to do at home, give yourself some self-care, read some good books, find some good things to listen to, and slow down and just nurture the relationships that you have in your life. So good luck to everyone. Stay safe, stay isolated where possible, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions.